Okay, guys, starting Unit 3, Key Concept 3.1 is the expansion and intensification of communication and exchange networks. So here's your outline that we're going to be discussing throughout these next couple of videos. And then the main idea, during this time period, the post-classical era, Islam was introduced and spread throughout Asia and Northern Africa. The number of people and amount of goods, ideas, technology, and diseases that crossed the Afro-Eurasian continents increased tremendously compared to the classical era, and this had many consequences, intended and unintended. Islam is not going to be covered in Concept 3.1. We are going to discuss Islam in length in Key Concept 3.2. So just hold on to your britches as far as that one goes. You've got two crash course videos that I think are a great supplement to this unit, or to Key Concept 3.1. The Dark Ages, Was It Really So Dark, is the first one. And then the second one is International Commerce, Snorkeling Camels, and Indian Ocean Trade. I would highly recommend you watch these two videos at some point over the next week. So let's talk about how improved transportation technologies and commercial practices led to an increased volume of trade, and it also expanded the range of trade networks. Powerful new trading cities are starting to be built, and we saw this happening last unit as well. These trade routes had ports and hubs, remember when we did the trade simulation, that started growing because they were convenient geographically. They contained a large number of people, so they had large markets. More than a small number of goods could be exchanged in these areas. Most of these cities were along land and sea trade routes. Important Afro-Eurasian trading cities included Djinn, Timbuktu, Gao in West Africa. Then you had Byzantium, Novgorod, and Venice in Europe, Baghdad, Tyre, and Hormuz in Southwest Asia, Samarkand and Bukhara in Central Asia. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce those Chinese city names. I'm really sorry, but you can see them right there. And then you have Zanzibar, Kilwa in East Africa, Calicut, and Go in South Asia. Please don't confuse that with Gao in West Africa. And then Malacca, and that's been spelled in many different ways in Southeast Asia. But these existing trade routes are flourishing. They're promoting the growth of powerful new trading cities like those I just named. The Silk Roads are linking the Russian landmass. Trans-Saharan trade is connecting West Africa to other parts of the Muslim world and beyond. The Indian Ocean is linking China, Southeast Asia, India, Arabia, and East Africa. That's why I think it's very important for you to watch that crash course video on the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean trade was larger than the Silk Roads. More goods and information was passed in the Indian Ocean trade than the Silk Road. So it was very important. The Mediterranean Sea, again, it linked Europe with the goods from the Muslim world and Asia. Cities along these routes grew substantially, like we talked about. And some other factors to consider here are agricultural productivity, increased trade, and slightly warmer global temperatures are also making these cities grow, not just the existing trade routes. Those are some other factors that were helping these grow. Trade routes centering in Mesoamerica and the Andes were developing as well. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce these names again. I'm really sorry. But, well, I'll try. Tiahuanaco was in southern Andes, and Huari was in the northern Andes. And these two cities, the period of regional organization in the Andes was brought to an end with the growth of these two states, and the religious symbols and artistic motifs associated with these two states are widely disseminated, and this suggests the creation of a second horizon. Tiahuanaco extended its control over the southern region, while Huari controlled the northern region again. The period of dominance of these two states ended in the 9th century, about the same time as the end of the classical period in Mesoamerica. The decline precipitated another round of regional development, like the Chimu on the coast. Contact between Mesoamerica and the Andes led to parallels in cultural development and the chronology of the emergence of more complex political systems. Much of this was probably funneled through intermediate cultures in Central America. There are important differences. The Peruvian cultures used metallurgy more fully than their Mesoamerican counterparts, and the existence of the llama in the Andes allowed the development of a form of pastoralism that was unknown in Mexico. Unlike the Maya, the cultures of the Andean highlands never developed a system of writing. Through these cities and trade routes, many luxury and everyday items were exchanged, and in greater quantity than ever before. Silk remained a highly prized luxury commodity throughout Afro-Eurasia. Trade items continued to be exchanged, but new technologies and ideas and goods were a change in this era, and this included items from China like gunpowder, paper, the compass, and the astrolabe. We're going to talk about those things later. Land and sea merchants also carried Islam into South Asia, East Asia, and Southeast Asia from the Middle East. Overland trade carried luxury goods. The sea lanes were used for bulkier goods. And again, those are some technological efficiencies that helped increase trade. Credit and monetization is one of the big ones. Governments were starting to create forms of currency for their area or for the areas that they controlled, and this was a big part of increasing trade. State practices did encourage commercial growth. The Tang and the Song dynasties, which we'll talk in length about in the next key concept, these dynasties in China provided security and supported trade by land and sea. They did not interfere in Indian Ocean trade. They had what was called flying money, which, sorry about that, guys. Coins were minted as early as the era of the Persian Empire around 500 BCE, and the concept spread throughout the Mediterranean region, but Chinese merchants probably introduced the first paper money before the 9th century CE. The Tang government in China took over that enterprise as a way of standardizing their monetary system, and some of this paper money in China was actually made of silk, and this was called flying money. The Grand Canal project definitely aided trade. It linked China's major rivers in a north-south fashion and allowed goods to move more easily from interior to exterior. The Grand Canal is actually still used today, and basically what it did was take a winding river that went just the easiest way through the geography and straightened it out into a straight line to make it more streamlined. It's almost like taking a road that winds through the mountains and straightening it out and going through the highway. This has a lot of environmental effects that we'll talk about in just a second. The Byzantine Empire also provided protection for trade routes in the Mediterranean, and Muslim caliphates and Mongol emperors kept trade routes open and protected the trade routes that went through their lands. Let's stop right there for the first video.